The Witch's House. Hello friends, how are you? Today, I have brought a horror story for you. Let's start and enjoy. The wind howled through the barren trees as the moon cast eerie shadows over the graveyard that surrounded the decrepit, a horror witch's house. Its decaying walls stood as a testament to a time long gone, and most would avoid it at all costs. But fate had a different plan for one unfortunate family that found themselves on a dark, desolate road that led straight to the House of Horrors. The Joseph family, consisting of Mark, Sarah, and their 2 children, Emily and Ethan, were on a road trip through the countryside. They had lost their way in the maze of back roads, and the sun had set, leaving them in darkness. As they drove down the desolate road, their car suddenly sputtered and came to a grinding halt. Mark tried to restart the engine, but it was clear that something was seriously wrong. Panic started to set in as the realization of their dire situation sunk in. There was no cell phone reception, and their only option was to seek shelter for the night. The Josephs scanned their surroundings, and that's when they saw it at the witch's house, looming ominously in the distance. It stood atop a small hill, partially obscured by the twisted branches of dead trees. Its windows were shattered, and the front yard was overgrown with thorny vines. Desperation fueled their decision, and they reluctantly made their way towards the witch's house. The closer they got, the more they regretted their choice. As they passed through the rusted iron gate that marked the entrance to the house, the family couldn't help but admire the architecture. Despite its eerie reputation, the house had once been a beautiful mansion. Now, it was just a shell of its former glory, trapped in a time long past. They cautiously entered the foyer, their footsteps echoing through the abandoned house. Cobwebs hung from the chandeliers, and dust-covered furniture filled the grand entrance hall. The oppressive silence was broken only by the occasional creaking of the old wooden floors beneath their feet. Their eyes were drawn to a portrait hanging on the wall. It was a painting of a woman with hauntingly beautiful features, her eyes cold and lifeless. The family shivered as they noticed something horrifying. Blood appeared to be dripping from the woman's painted eyes, slowly staining the canvas. Their fear grew, but they couldn't find any logical explanation for this bizarre phenomenon. Reluctantly, they decided to explore the house further, hoping to find a safe place to spend the night. In the eerie stillness of the night, a foreboding sign beckoned the Joseph family with a cryptic message, "Beware," its arrow ominously pointing towards the second floor of the decaying mansion they had ventured into. Undeterred by the darkness that enveloped them, they decided to ascend the creaky stairs and explore the enigmatic upper level. Upon reaching the top of the staircase, the family found themselves in a dimly lit hallway, where 2 ominous doorways awaited their curiosity. One door led to a room with an ancient, tattered bed, while the other revealed a sitting room, beckoning with an eerie allure. Emily, the adventurous spirit of the family, was drawn towards the sitting room like a moth to a flame. As Emily ventured deeper into the room, a chilling sound echoed from the staircase they had just climbed. It was a voice, sinister and filled with malice, whispering dreadful promises, "I will suck your sweet blood, dear Emily." Fear coursed through her veins. Within the sitting room, she encountered an unsettling sight, a chair, seemingly moving on its own accord as if inhabited by an unseen presence. Her heart raced, and a scream of terror escaped her lips. The room, shrouded in silence for countless years, suddenly bore witness to her fear. In the midst of Emily's horrifying discovery, a powerful force suddenly overcame her, propelling her across the room. Her parents, alarmed by her screams, rushed to her side, their faces etched with concern. Emily recounted her encounter with the moving chair and the ghastly apparition that had sent her reeling. However, to her dismay, her parents dismissed her story as mere superstition, attributing her experience to fear-induced hallucinations. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she implored her father, "Believe in my words, my father," but regrettably, her appeals went unanswered, leaving her heart heavy with their disbelief. Nightfall brought no respite from the terror that had gripped. The desperation fueled their decision, and they reluctantly made their way towards the haunted house. The closer they got, the more they regretted their choice. As Emily and her brother Ethan retired to separate rooms for the night, an unspeakable evil crept into the darkness. The wicked witch, whose presence had haunted them since their ill-fated arrival, materialized once more. With a voice dripping with malevolence, she whispered to Emily, "Wake up! Wake up! Let's come, let's come!" Emily followed the order while in a trance-like state, but as soon as her eyes opened, she realized what a frightening circumstance she was in. Unaware of what she was doing, she followed the witch as they made their way to the cursed cemetery. In the shadowy graveyard, the witch revealed her true intentions, a sinister grin on her blood-soaked lips. With a swift and merciless strike, she ended Emily's life and feasted upon her innocent blood. The cold, unfeeling ground bore witness to this gruesome act. Meanwhile, back in the haunted mansion, strange and unsettling occurrences intensified. Doors creaked open of their own accord, objects crashed to the floor with deafening clamor, and the malevolent presence of the witch permeated every corner. The witch's cries filled the air, "I shall kill all, I shall kill all," as she reveled in her reign of terror. Ethan, Emily's brother, was the first to realize that something was amiss. He awakened his parents with a frantic urgency, informing them that Emily was nowhere to be found in her room. Panic gripped the family as they scoured the dark, foreboding mansion in search of their beloved daughter, but their efforts proved futile. Suddenly, the witch materialized before their eyes, her form a grotesque visage of horror. Her long, disheveled hair veiled her face as she cackled maniacally, reveling in the anguish she had inflicted upon the Joseph family. With a sinister gleam in her eye, the witch revealed the horrifying truth. "Your daughter was in the graveyard," she taunted, her laughter echoing through the haunted halls. Her parents desperately cried out, "No, this can't be." Hurrying towards the cemetery in panic, they stumbled upon their child's dead body, covered in blood-stained clothing. With heavy hearts, they lifted her corpse and hurried back to their haunted house. In the courtyard, a malevolent witch perched, her presence ominous and her voice dripping with malice. She cried, "Run, run, for none can escape from my hands." Her sinister laughter echoed, chilling the air. Her words sent shivers down spines, as if warning of an impending doom. As the first light of dawn began to pierce through the shattered windows of the mansion, the Smith family knew that they could no longer endure relentless horror that had besieged them. They gathered their meager belongings, and made their way to their car. Miraculously, the car started without issue, as if a benevolent force had intervened to aid their escape from the malevolent clutches of the haunted mansion and the vengeful witch. With heavy hearts and haunted memories, they drove away from the cursed estate and the sinister graveyard. Yet, even as they left the nightmarish realm behind, the Joseph family could not escape the feeling that they had borne witness to something truly malevolent that night. The bleeding portrait, the vengeful witch, and the tragic loss of their beloved daughter, Emily, would forever haunt their dreams and cast a shadow over their lives, a terrifying reminder of the horrors that lurked in the darkness.